Well, this is Linda, Lady in the Garden. I'm going to do a small garden tour just to kind of give you an idea of what this heat in Texas is like. It's only a high of 107 today, and it's about 5 o'clock in the evening right now. So, give you an idea of what we got here. Got my eggplant. You can see it's growing in a big, large pot. I've got tomatoes. I've got all kinds of tomatoes growing. This one's in a tub. Sunflowers and tomatoes. You can see I've got a little tomato right there. Peppers are struggling, but I do have peppers over there. Another little cherry tomato. Got cherry tomatoes right there. People tell me to grease the poles, you know, so they can't climb them. And that worked for a short time. But one day I came out here and I saw one of the squirrels. And he was up there hanging on the feeder. And I said, well, how did he get up there? You know, the pole was greased down. Well, the wind had blown dust and stuff all over the pole. And that gave him enough traction that he could get up that pole. Well, you'll see I've got tulle wrapped around the bottom part of the pole. Squirrels do not like tulle. They don't like the way it feels on their claws. So if they get near it and see what it is or touch it, they will stay away from it. So far I've not had any squirrels climbing up my tulle or the pole to get to the bird feeder. So hopefully I've solved that problem, because I've been fighting this for a long time. I don't mind the bird, you know, the squirrels eating the bird food. I just wish they wouldn't go up the pole and hang on the bird feeder. Okay, I just wanted to show you today how to compost in place. I started out, I've got a dish pan here. It's not very deep, but it's deep enough to plant onions in. I've already drilled my holes. I've got like 9 little holes in the bottom. And you can do that with a drill, soldering iron, hot glue gun, anything to melt the plastic to put a hole. And then I went around the yard and I picked up little pieces of tree limbs that fell out, and I broke them down to where they fit in here. And just pile it full of them. I mean, the bigger the pot or pan you got, the more stuff you can put in it. And that's about all I'm going to put in this. And then I've got leaves. I've got green matter from the yard, you know, off of some of the vines and bushes. Then I'm going to put in table scraps. Just any of your old table scraps will do. Kind of spread that out. And then I've got some old potting soil that I had in some of my other pots where I was growing stuff, and it's pretty much turned to soil. Put that in there. And I'm putting quite a bit because all this is going to break down and go to the bottom. So it's going to end up with maybe half of what's in there right now. And then I'm going to put a little bit, well, I'm going to water it down a little bit first. Because you always want to keep it damp so it'll break down. I mean, you can plant in it right away. It's always best to And I've got just a little bit of garden soil that I'm going to put in the very top. I mean, you don't have to do that. It's best to put potting soil or some type of a potting mix in the very top of it, especially if you're going to plant seeds. I'm going to plant some walking onions, so I'm not really going to have to do that. I've got enough of and I just get just a cheap potting mix. It's usually $3 or $4.
There you go.
Now here it is, folks. 4th of July parade in small town USA.
Go wave, stand up and wave, and maybe they'll throw it at you. Wave.
Yeah, I don't remember. Got it, Judge. Here it comes.
Gotta be quick. Throwing out candy and the kids are darting for it.
There you go.
Don't be up there.
I got it!
Open your bag.
Get some? Okay.
Okay. There's going to be plenty of chances. Hey.
Come the horses.
Sheriff's posse.
Sheriff's posse. The bag that I get. If some of you remember or saw my other videos, you'll know that I had some eggplant growing. Well, it's been so extremely hot that I went out there this morning and I went ahead and picked the biggest ones because I was afraid if I left them out there, they were going to be too hard or they would get so hot they'd start cooking on the vine. So what I decided to do is cut the biggest ones, leave the small ones, and come in here and cook me some blooming eggplant. I know a lot of you have had blooming onions before, but I don't think anybody I'm aware of that's ever fixed a blooming eggplant. I have a few marigolds right here that have dried up. See how they do right there? When that's completely dried, that's going to be seeds. Let me see if I can find one that's already completely dried. I know I saw some out here the other day. But anyway, I guess maybe they have already fallen off. Well, here, this one. That one's dried. You just break it apart. All that is seed. Put it in a baggie, save it. Get all of your seeds that way. And I know I had some more marigolds and zinnias over here. See? That big dead flower? It's not quite dry enough yet, but as soon as it gets completely dry, break it off, put it in a baggie, save it till you get all your seeds together. That way you can break them apart, save them in a little plastic bag, and you've got your flower seed for next year. See, there's one that's ready. And this one right here is. They'll break off fairly easy once they're dried out. Anyway, I'm still trying to keep my tomato plants afloat here. They're trying to die, but this heat is just too hot on them. But they're struggling, but if I keep them alive, as soon as it cools off a little bit, you know, they're going to be producing some more. And there goes my little peppers over there. You can see them. I planted green peppers, bell peppers, and red bell peppers, orange ones, red ones, yellow ones, every color that I could find. Well, there's all my marigolds. I'm going to deadhead them as soon as those vines get... I got a little blueberry bush right there. I just started it this year, so I don't know if it'll do anything. There's another one down there. Didn't see that one. And one right there. See, if you break your flowers off like that after those things die and all of that seed dries out, and I plant them here close to my bird feeders, my hummingbird feeders, because the other birds will come in and they'll eat the seed off of those heads, those dried sunflower heads. And the little hummingbirds love them because they like to perch on the flowers sometimes when they come in. You know, they fly in to get their hummingbird nectar out of my feeders. They'll perch on those sunflowers. And I've got moonflowers planted below them. The birds love all the vegetation around their feeders. It makes them comfortable. So, you know, they don't get... making a salad for myself for supper tonight. And I was going to cut up some peppers. Little peppers. They're sweet peppers. To go in my salad. And I happened to think, well, you know what? I showed you how to harvest the flower seeds. Sunflowers and moonflowers and that type of thing. But it didn't show you how to harvest your pepper seed. Now, you can harvest pepper seed out of store-bought peppers or some that you've grown in your yard already. When you go to cut them up, there's seed right there. You can see that. That's all the seed you need to plant for next year, or a fall garden. Or you could turn around and plant them right now if you're not in 104-degree temperature like I am at 7 p.m. But that's what I do. I save my seed from year to year. And what I do is I just cut them out. Get them off of that little stalk because you don't want any of the other pepper to be on there. But that's quite a few little pepper plant seeds right there. Just put them on a paper towel and let them dry out. Now that's my red peppers. Put red peppers on one side, and then I'm going to put my yellow peppers on the other. And you can do your hot peppers this way, jalapeno peppers, bell peppers. These are just like little banana peppers. There's real sweet peppers in there. They're pretty good to put in a salad because I do grow the real hot peppers, but I don't eat things that are too hot. I use them in cooking a lot. I do put them in salsa sometimes. And I do fix hot pepper vinegar. If you're from the South, when you go to dip your water out of your 5-gallon buckets, you know, your compost tea, I found this little yellow bucket. It fits right down in there, and it makes it so easy just to dip it out, and then just take that little bucket and go wherever you're going to go to water your stuff. Like right here. You remember that dish pan that I set up the other day? Composting in place. I put walking onions in it. Well, look at there. They're coming up. But there you go. I finally got it adjusted to the right speed for the water to come out. I know it's kind of old and beat up, but you know what? The birds don't care. And I'll fix another one. But there you go. At least it's got the reservoir in the bottom. That's the flower pot. Recirculates the water so it doesn't run out of water every day. And the birds love it. Wanted to get on here this evening and show you what that pile of wood chips is for. I put it to my rock gardens. It's going to be all around these moonflowers. It helps keep pests down. Helps keep moisture in. and they benefit from it. It's just been too hot to be putting it out here, so I had to wait till it cooled off this evening to try to do any of it. If I don't get in front of the camera so you can see what I'm doing. And it's supposed to rain, like I said, this week. I think around Tuesday or Wednesday, if they don't change it. But like I said, this helps keep your moisture in your plants. Well, good morning. As you can see, I've got in front of me some packages of seed. So I was trying to determine what seeds I've got right now that I can plant. Since it is the fall of the year, well, it's August. It's mid-August, so. But anyway, I thought I'd share with you some of the seeds that I found in my seed bag that I keep all my seeds in that I might be able to plant now. And I've come up with the purple tree collards. Now I ordered a cutting of the purple tree collard last year, and I did plant it, and it seemed to be doing okay. But then it got real hot, and all of a sudden it just died. So I said I might try that again this year and see what happens. Maybe plant it later in the summer, or maybe even now. And maybe by the time it starts growing and get some decent size, the weather will be cooled off enough that it won't bother it. And then by next summer, it'll be okay. And then I've got a Chinese cabbage. I love this Chinese cabbage. It just keeps coming and coming and coming. I mean, I planted it last year. I planted it again in the spring of the year this year. And it does real well. I mean, that's one thing that does well here. It doesn't like the extreme heat, and it will die back a little bit. But if you keep it watered, it'll come right back up. So that's one thing that you can plant here in north central Texas in this dry heat climate that will grow well. And I had to put mine in a little baggie because my envelope broke and all my seed fell out, so I had to put it in a baggie to keep my seed from getting lost. And another thing is bok choy. Bok choy does not like the extreme heat. But you could plant it now, I think, and by the time it comes up and gets any size, the weather may be cooled off enough to where the heat wouldn't bother it. Lettuce. I've got a real leafy lettuce that does real well here. It does not like the extreme heat. But I think if I planted it now for the fall, it'll do well. Because I planted some of that the first of the summer, in the spring of the year, back in March. And it came up, it looked real well, but then that extreme heat hit and it died back down. Some of the plants have survived and, they're doing okay. But they don't like the extreme heat. And this summer, if anything lived at all, you're doing real well. And then I've got this red Russian kale. That does well here. But again, like everything else, it does not like the extreme heat. Not 105 and 109 degree weather, it doesn't. I had one or two plants that survived from the spring through the heat. And now it's coming back to life since the temperatures have dropped down to at least 99 and 100. And I've come up with radishes. Radish is something that you can grow right now. because, you know, radish, I planted those the beginning of the summer, back in the spring, and that heat hit and they didn't do well at all. But I think if I planted them now, they would do okay. Swiss chard is another one. If you like Swiss chard, that you can plant now and it'll do well. I've got spinach. Spinach will do well if you like spinach. Beets like the colder weather. So I'm going to try planting some more of these again for my fall garden. And I've got it's a Chinese dragon stir-fry mix salad blend. Now I planted some of that back in the spring, and it would come up. It was growing beautiful. I was getting harvest off of it, and then that heat hit, and like everything else, it tried to die down. Some of it did survive, and it started growing back again now, since the weather has cooled off a little bit. So they'll be okay. But one thing I did plant that I was really counting on is this giant kale. I thought maybe, you know, if I could plant giant kale, it would do well. And it did the beginning of the summer. It was growing like crazy. I was harvesting leaves off of it and cooking it, and it did real well. But like everything else, when that heat hit, it died back. Well, hello everybody. We're going to fix some dinner. And this is going to be a good old country southern dish. First of all, I got some yams. I'm just going to open that can of yams. And you might say, well, that's a lot for me. Well, yeah, it is. But this is going to be like supper for the next couple of nights. Not just tonight. And yes, I do keep the juice. I'm simply going to add a little bit of brown sugar. A couple of tablespoons of brown sugar. I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons of butter. That's what I like about a stick of butter. It has it measured for you already. All you got to do is cut it off. Now, that's got my potatoes, so I'm going to get those over here cooking. Whoops. If I remember to turn the right burner on. And we're just going to cook them a little bit until the water is boiled down a tiny bit. Because they're already cooked. Oh, let's see. Do you want to go out? You don't need to. Come here, I'm going to let you out this door. Well, hi guys. I'm down here. I was in Walmart a little while ago, had to pick up a couple of things, and I came across they had these 32 gallon trash cans for $19.99. So I bought another one, and I'm going to put this one out in the garden area where I don't have any. I mean, I have small buckets, but I don't have any of these, so that's my intention. But I thought since I was going to fix it anyway, that I would go ahead and show everybody how I fix my 22 and 32 gallon drums or trash cans to make water containers or compost tea containers out of them. I need to get that little stand out for this thing. Because it does get hot and you don't want to touch that thing when it's hot. And you don't want it touching anything, you know, like your furniture or anything when it gets hot either. Because that would definitely not be a good thing. It would burn tremendously. But first of all, you can get the 22 excuse me, gallon trash containers with the locked lid. They lock down. But we're not going to really use it that way. We're going to turn it up this way. And we're going to fix it so if it ever does rain, which it's very unlikely, it looks like, that it will catch rainwater. Other times we can either... Well, hi guys. I'm back. I got a job to do before I can nail this down. This silver strip is not in straight. And if I nail that or screw that board into the floor, it's going to be right on top of that metal strip. And I don't want it to be there. Well, so what I'm going to do is lift it up a little bit and see if I can move it over just a tiny here. Not much. That is, if I can get under it. Yep, little buddy run in the door when I opened it a while ago. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get those out or not. They're like screw nails or something. I don't know what they call them. But they're usually in there to stay when you get them in there. Like I said, I'm going to put more flooring on top of this. In the hallway over this plywood. There. Got two of them out. Guess you can see from my head. It's been in there a few years. And I don't want to bend them because I want to use them again. Oh. That one's in there pretty tight. Whew. No longer than I've been doing this, I got sweat going down my back. Oh, that one don't want to come out. There it goes. Whew. Sweaty. Yeah, I'm just moving it down as far as I can. Bend it back a little bit so it's not warped up. Now, little buddy, you're going to have to get out of my way. You can't be right in front of me or right between my legs. May even have to cut just a tiny bit off of there to get it to fit the way I want it to. And like I said, I'm gonna do that outer door threshold. I still got to cut a piece of wood a couple of inches to fit under the threshold and lift that metal piece up and then attach it. I haven't done it yet, but I still can do that. I mean, I don't have to do it right now. Little buddy's gonna help. Folks, you see, yeah, I'm outside with my mask on because it's so dry and dusty. Breathing this air makes me sick with my allergies because we've not had any rain in over 2 months. And it's been 107, 109 degrees every day. And my plants are burning up just like everybody else's. If you live in north central Texas, you're experiencing extreme heat right now. And I can't talk like this. You're experiencing extreme heat and dryness. The only thing you can do is keep your plants watered the best you can and hope for the best. If they die, they die. I mean, we didn't, no one could predict this kind of a summer. I sure didn't. I had a beautiful garden last year, but it's totally opposite this year. We've had no rain. It's been so hot and dry that all the plants are struggling, with the ones that survive. I've managed to keep mine watered about twice a week, which is not enough because we've had so many water restrictions here. It's unreal. You're only supposed to water 1 day a week. Then you can't use your water hose. And if you do, the water has so many chemicals in it, it burns your plants up. So what I've done is I've used all my 5-gallon buckets, my trash cans, that I've converted to water catchment lids and all this to hold compost tea. That gives me about 150 gallons of water to water my plants in between my days of watering. And it's still not enough. My plants are burning up. When it's 109 degrees every single day, your plants are going to suffer. If they survive, they're doing good. And I'm sorry for the ones that have lost plants. I mean, it's not my fault. It's not your fault. It's just the weather. We did not predict this kind of a dry, hot summer. I mean, even last year at 113 degrees, it wasn't this bad. Even with a water restriction, it wasn't this bad because it was not 113 degrees every single day. It's been 105 to 109 every single day. No let up. With no rain for over 2 months. So that's the difference. If you got anything alive in your yard now, knock on wood. I live on this mountaintop, and it's hard for me to keep anything watered because everything I've got is in pots, totes, and watering twice a week is not enough. You need to water about every day a little bit, or every other day at least, to keep them going. And if you water them too much, and there's too much water in the pot or the tote, the next day when it hits 109, it's just going to boil your plant. So you got to be careful. I mean, do the best you can. That's all I can say. That's what I'm trying to do. If I can keep my plants alive, I'm keeping them alive. If not, then they're going to die. There's nothing we can do about it. Hi. We're going to fix some dinner with beef ramen noodles tonight. See what we can do with them. First of all, I went out in the garden and I broke some of my walking onions, just the green tops. And I'm going to chop those up to go in my dish. Got hungry and I wasn't sure what I wanted to fix for dinner. I wanted something simple. So this is what I've decided on. And I've already got a frozen ground beef patty that's in the frying pan thawing out, trying to cook it because it was frozen. And I didn't put it in the microwave because a lot of times when I put that stuff in the microwave, I cook it too long. And I actually cook it instead of thawing it out, so. Whew. And I've got my little pearl onions that I only had a handful of them out of the garden. But they're going to go in my dish as well. Put them right in there with the green onions. Whew, they're strong. Really strong. Now you can use any kind of onions. You can use just regular green onions with the bottoms. It's up to you. These things are strong. They're little, but oh my God, are they strong. Whew, I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle it. And I just basically quartered those little onions. And I'm also gonna, I got 4 little cloves of garlic that also came out of my garden. I'm just squishing them a little bit. And they're going to go in my dish as well. And those onions will turn your board if you're using a plastic one like I do, because it's so easy to clean up. And just pick it up and throw it right in the sink where I can't do the other one that way. And I just spray it with a little bit of all-purpose cleaner with bleach, and that gets the stain out of the board. Just leave it sit there for a little bit. We'll bring all my ingredients over here. And move the camera. So I'm still trying to get that salt up so I can break it apart. And that was just basically one hamburger patty. It was kind of a big one, maybe a quarter pounder. Not quite a quarter pounder, but close. Well, good morning, everybody. This is Linda from North Central Texas here with you again. Decided I was going to go ahead and pick my greens before we got the rain, like supposedly tomorrow and the next day maybe. So, because that's when the worms get the worst, is right after heavy rain. And my leaves are not that big, but you got to remember I've got several different kinds of greens out there. Like I've got, these big ones are Chinese cabbage, and I love it. I mean, it's really good if you like any kind of stir fry. These little ones are Brussels sprout leaves. As I told you, I don't wait till my Brussels sprouts head up before I pick them, because I don't use pesticides on my vegetables. Or I try not to, and if I do, it's just a little bit of spray that I spray them with once in a while. But that's hardly ever. Because usually, if you pick them early, you'll get them before all those worms get on them. And what how you season your greens is up to you. Basically, I put a little bit of onion in the pan when I'm heating it up, because I love onions on everything. Cooked onions, raw onions, you name it, I love them. And they help season it just a little bit. Now, like I was saying, if you pick your greens early, you won't give the worms time to eat up your leaves. And what I do, I've got this pair of heavy-duty scissors. They're kitchen scissors, and I just cut up my leaves as I wash them and put them in the pan. That way I don't have a great big old... Now, little Brussels sprout leaves you can leave like that, but... And also, there's the top of the Brussels sprout. You can see I don't let them head up because I don't want worms in them. I pick them before they head up And if you'll notice your leaves, when you pick them off of your stalks, if there's any little bitty worms on there, you can get them off before you even bring them in the house. That'll save you time in the house. So all you have to do when you get in the house is rinse them off a little bit. Cut them up. I like to cut them with the scissors before I cook them. Then I don't have to chop them after they're cooked. But you can do them any way you want. My mom always cooked her collard greens and stuff like that, and sometimes I just break them with my hand and throw them in the pan with that little bit of onion. You can put garlic in there too. It's just like I said, you season your greens the way you want them. I put them in there the way I like them. Like I said, I like a little bit of onion. Sometimes I put a little bit of garlic. And I'll probably add a little bit of garlic before I'm through. But I just found I like the greens a lot better to pick them young. They're more tender. That doesn't take them as long to cook. And I mix all my greens together. The stir fries, the kale, the Chinese cabbage. It's just a mixture of greens, and they're really good. And don't worry about the little bit of water that gets on the leaves when you put them in the pan, because it evaporates. In fact, during the cooking process, I put it on a low heat, and I add a little bit of water as they cook so they don't completely dry out and they don't stick to the pan. Of course, I've got a non-stick pan, but still. I like them cooked this way a lot better than I do if you put them in a big pot of boiling water. Seem like they have a better taste. And you can see just what little bit I picked this morning. I've got greens strung all over my yard. I've got some growing out of flower pots with my flowers. Like you saw, I had some in the cinder blocks growing. And as you can see, I use my dish pan for that too. With this drought and water rationing that we've had going on, I've saved every bit of water I could just to keep my plants alive and not have such a huge water bill. Hi again, I'm back. I decided I wanted to fix some beef stir fry today. I haven't fixed beef stir fry in a long time. So, as you know, basically what I'm going to do is put my rice on. How y'all feeling today? Hope you're doing good. This holiday weekend coming upon us. I'm going to cook 1 cup of rice. And it's parboiled rice. It doesn't take quite as long for it to cook. I started using that years ago and I really like it. I like brown rice, but it does take a while to cook it. So I'm going to come over here and just get it in my pot and get my water in there. You know, we put 2 cups of water. turn that burner on. Get that heating up. And I don't know if you remember, but I always told you when I buy beef, this was that beef roast, I think. I don't remember the name of it. But I had cut it up in strips. It was some type of a roast, London broil or something. But anyway, I cut it up in strips and put it in my freezer in these little packages. And I've had this one out this morning thawing out. Hey, this is Linda from North Central Texas. I wanted to get on here and show you the harvest from today, or this afternoon. I went ahead and picked 2 cucumbers right there. And that other little wonky looking one. I've got 8 of these eggplants that I picked. I got a handful of the sun golden cherry or grape tomatoes. I've got 8 squash, yellow squash. And I've got a whole bunch of mixed salad greens. I don't know if I told you that I did that, but that's my Brussels sprout. That's the way I pick my Brussels sprouts. I just break the top off and I break the biggest leaves off of the stalks. I don't wait for them to head up, because if you do, usually I end up with bugs getting in them that way before I ever am able to eat them. So I harvest the leaves and the tops just like that. And you don't have to worry about it, because the stalks will put back out new leaves. And I have like Chinese cabbage, kale, just a variety of mixed greens down in there that I'm getting ready to cook. And I'm going to go ahead and cook my yellow squash. So let's see if I can do this. Okay, this is Linda back with you. We're going to see if we can get our Rocky Road fudge out of the refrigerator. It's been in there and see, this is why we wanted to line it. You can pick the whole thing up. The whole thing comes up to where you can either cut it or you can break it, actually. We're going to try cutting it and see how it works. But as I said, I turned up all my soil, got some of the stuff out of it that really don't need to be in there right now. And I'm going to put a little bit of garden soil. Well, it's not really, it's organic potting mix, all purpose. And I'm just going to put a little bit on the top like I did my other tote. Because I don't have mulch right now or compost to put in there. And this has enough nutrients, I guess, to get the onions to growing and get them to producing. I'm going to try to put my red ones in a section. Let's see how many I got. Some of them are kind of dried up, but most of them are okay. Which it probably works out good because, like I said, I don't usually get red onions a whole lot. I use more yellow onions than anything, and I don't know that I ever bought the yellow ones. Maybe once in a while. But usually it's the yellow onions that I get. So I'm just going to put them in there just like I did the other ones. Just barely putting them under the dirt. I don't want to put them too deep. But I want to put them deep enough that they're going to have some good roots. And you want them a little ways apart so they have room to grow. At least a couple of inches. Oops, don't want to put that one in that way. That's upside down. Yeah, you want to make sure that point, so you can tell that's the bottom. And this is the point. That's the top. You always want the top pointing up. Seeds out. And you might want to scrape it a little bit more after we cook it. But I'm going to get the seeds out now because I'm going to dry the seeds and I'm going to use them to plant. See if I can plant some of them. Oop, I forgot my olive oil. I'm just going to pour a little bit of olive oil. Now I'm not putting them in the regular oven, so you may not even have to do this. I mean, I'm not putting them in there to begin with. But I'm going to rub it down with a little bit of olive oil anyway. And guess what? To speed up the cooking time, I'm going to put them in my microwave for about maybe 5 minutes and check on them and see if that's enough, and if not, then I'll get back with them. Put those to the side. Now, what I'm going to use is just regular old stovetop stuffing mix. Let's see. Two cups of water. Knocking everything over. And I'm going to put in about a quarter of a stick, a little more of butter, which was all I had on that. I got plenty more in the refrigerator. But what I'm also going to do is find my chopper. Well, I I may just chop it in something else. I've got some raisins here. Not raisins, but dried cherries. Now you can use sorry about that, I'll tell you. You can use raisins, you can use cranberries. These are dried cherries. I'm only putting about 1/4 cup in there. And I'm going to take my little food chopper and I'm just going to gently chop them up a little bit. They're a little hard because